As kids, we made a lot of prank phone calls, but there was one that stands out in my memory.
Let's talk about that.
I'm Zuzia from Poland. Good mythical morning.
Good mythical morning.
This episode is brought to you by Smule, makers of auto rap, talk, and it changes it to rap. Moving at the speed of conversation, mythical beasts watching from many nations.
Thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. It is impossible to live without a spleen.
Moving at the speed of conversation, mythical beasts watching from many nations.
Thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. It is impossible to live without
Moving at the speed of conversation, It's not impossible to live without a spleen. You can live without a spleen, right?
It's not like an appendix. I think you have to get it replaced if you get it taken out.
No, it's like a gallbladder.
No, I think spleen's more important.
Okay. You're wrong, but whatever. Okay, yesterday we talked about... What did we talk about? We talked about latchkey kids, what age you should be left alone. Rhett dipped Cherry Skull when he was left alone. But it reminded me of another time that you were left alone because...
I don't recommend that, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's stupid.
So it reminded me of not only all the times we did prank calls, well, it reminded me of that because of the one time in particular that, is this making sense? Are you remembering? Yeah. You were left alone, I came over, and we made a series of prank calls that go down in history that we will now share with the people.
Now, I wish my brother was here because he can tell
I wish my brother George was here.
He can tell the story very, very well. Because he was the oldest at the time. My brother is 3 years older than me. He was a senior in high school when we were freshmen. And I believe that this was probably, we were in middle school and he was like a junior in high school.
That sounds about right.
And my parents had made the decision that it was okay to leave us alone for a night or for like a weekend or something because, you know, we have this 17-year-old brother who could take care of us, take care of me. But somehow we ended up working it out so that you would come and spend the night over there one night. But we didn't tell your mom that my parents were gone. I don't know how that all worked out, but I just remember specifically that she wasn't supposed to know.
Well, it was a need-to-know basis type scenario, right? I'm gonna be fine. I'm old enough.
And what we were planning on doing is we were gonna do like an all-night prank calling spree. Because this is something that we had gotten into a little bit, because you gotta remember, this is before the days of Star 69, and before the days of caller ID. I guess there were some rich people who had caller ID.
I barely even know what Star 69 is.
That's like when you get a call from a number and then you press Star 69 and it calls that number back.
Which is a weird thing that I don't even think exists anymore.
I think it does exist.
It still exists.
On landlines.
You are a proponent of that.
No one has landlines, though.
Big fan of the Star 69.
So anyway, we had made a couple of epic prank calls. I don't really remember many of the details. Well, they were epic in our minds, but they were actually probably really immature and childish.
Hey, is your refrigerator running?
I don't think we ever resorted to that. We did more original things than that.
Better go chase after it.
So,
did you hear that? Yeah, give me 5.
So we had decided that we were going to go on an epic prank calling spree, but that really just meant that we were going to call my next door neighbor, Peter. Who, incidentally, there was sort of a rocky history between us and Peter, because Peter, who was 1 year younger than me and had been there from the day that I moved in to the house, had been kind of my buddy, you know, my next door neighbor, the same age, kind of grew up together in a lot of ways. But he kind of really threw a wrench into that when he broke into our house while we were on vacation.
He stole baseball cards.
He stole baseball cards. He stole money. He put some cigarettes out on the carpet.
Oh, cigarettes.
Then he made brownies he took brownies out of the freezer and made them.
That's pretty great. And he didn't eat them. It was like brownies and like cigarette butts.
So eventually I played detective and was able to figure out that it was him. So we were still friends, but there was always this, remember that time you broke into my house? That was a little awkward.
Yeah, so we probably started around about 10:30 at night. I remember Cole, who did most of the thinking because he was the oldest. He was like, all right, let's turn all the lights off.
Yep.
We don't want them to think that anybody's here. And plus, there's no way that they would know that it was us anyway.
But if it was late at night and they look over there and they see the light in Cole's bedroom on, they're like, oh, that must be Cole. Because it's a small town.
Yeah. So we turned all the lights off and we were downstairs And it was thrilling to be able to make a prank call and then look out the window and see the person you're calling. That had never been done before.
See the house that they're in.
Yeah, and you might see them through the window. It was just thrilling on a new level.
Yeah.
And so I remember Cole, you know, I really looked up to him as a prank call professional. He got on there first. And I seem to remember that at least 2 out of 3 of us, maybe all 3 of us, would get on a different phone in your house and just like cup the end so they wouldn't hear us breathing, and we could listen to both sides of the prank call conversation.
More entertaining.
And so, you know, Cole, he was good at doing different voices, and he'd get on there, and Pete Sr. would answer the phone, and he would ask for Peter. And then
Can I speak to Peter?
And then we get Peter on the phone, and then he would just go into this whole routine, like using all types of an English accent or this, that, and the other.
I mean, it was probably not very well done, come to think of it.
In my opinion, it's pretty awesome.
There was this conversation that would take place. What are you up to, Peter? And you would use this voice, and you would just string them along. Well,
Cole would.
Right. Well, and so we got him on the phone a couple times, and we just let Cole talk. You know, and he probably called 4 or 5 times.
Right. You'd call, and then you'd wait about 15 minutes. So, you know, it's getting to like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then Rhett starts taking over, and you know, doing your own spin on Cole's routine.
But you know? the interesting thing that happened is that after a couple of phone calls, Pete Sr. answered the phone, and I remember him specifically saying, "Listen here, Ace." I don't remember what else he said after that. I just remember
he called.
"Listen here, Ace."
He called you Ace.
Yes.
Which to me was a good sign because I knew your name wasn't Ace.
Yeah, he was.
So obviously he had been fooled. But I think that was just his general term for people who were instigating shenanigans on a prank call line.
And based on the way that the garage looked and the fact that there was a lot of Milwaukee's best like 24-pack boxes that were just kind of strewn in the garage.
Empty.
We knew that Pete Sr. loved to drink Milwaukee's best, and we just always assumed that he was just always hopped up on Milwaukee's best late at night. We just assumed. So
safe assumption.
We just kind of pictured him like with a Milwaukee's best in this hand and the phone in this hand. And he was, "Listen here, Ace.
He would not.
I'm going to find out who you are, and you're going to get in trouble."
After about the 12th call, by the time you were prank calling, he wouldn't give the phone to Peter. So we were just left prank calling his dad, and that was fine with us, you know. You'd see him kind of walk through the house, and it was just great, and it was really, rewarding.
It was very rewarding. It was a little thrilling, but it was also incredibly wrong. I don't want to endorse this.
I think Cole's having a great time. You're having a great time, and I'm like, well, when do I get a turn?
Well, and so then I got somehow they decided. I think that the strategy was they were like, let's put Peter back on the phone, and let's just calm things down a little bit. We're going to put Peter on the phone, and Peter's just going to be real calm, and maybe he's going to try to decipher like who this is that's calling, or
get a bit of information out of the prank caller.
So I've got Peter on the phone, and he's talking real calmly, and he's like, you know, asking me questions, and I'm not responding to him. And then I kind of look at you, and of course I'm using like a weird accent, some kind of, I don't sound like myself at all. So then I give Link the phone, and now I'm listening on the other phone.
And it was like, this is my moment, right?
And Link gets the phone, and Link says in a whispery voice, "Hey, Peter." And Peter says, "Hey, Link."
I was like, oh, no. I remember just looking at Rhett and looking at Cole, and I'm like, whoa. And then I was just like, I hung up the phone. And then Cole hangs up the phone, Rhett hangs up the phone, and Cole's like, just go to bed.
As if there was ever any more of an indicator that we were guilty. "Hey, Link." Hang the phone up.
So you know,
cut the lights. Well, the lights were already on.
You run up, get in your bed, and like I'm sleeping on like the floor beside your bed. Like that's how I slept when I stayed at your house.
Yeah, of course. You're not gonna get into bed with me.
Why didn't I get the bed and you got the floor? And then Cole went to his room,
which is right next to us.
And then it was about 15 minutes later, your phone starts to ring. And
we say, "Don't answer."
Cole runs in and he's like, "Don't answer it." You know, he's doing all the thinking. This is great. We got somebody to count on here. So we don't answer. But then it just keeps ringing and keeps ringing.
And we're like, oh no.
Oh gosh.
We're caught.
We got to answer the phone. And then finally, Cole brings the phone in there. Phone's ringing. He brings the phone in there and then he answers it. He's like, and he gets this look on his face like, Like he's been sleeping for hours. He's like, hello?
It was a good act. It was a good act.
And then I'm like, we're not on the phone now, so we're just looking at Cole's side of the conversation. She's like, hi, Miss Sue. It's my mom. It's like, no, he's asleep. I've been asleep. Everybody here has been asleep for like many hours. and then talks more, and then he gets, and then Cole takes the phone, and after my mom's talked to him for a while, and I guess what she was saying was, it turns out that she was saying was, your neighbor, Pete Sr., called me asking if Link was home, and I said no, he was at the McLaughlin's house. Your parents aren't there. She's finding out your parents aren't there and all this stuff. And then that's what she tells him. And then she's like, we'll put Link on the phone. So then Cole goes, he holds the phone like this, and he holds it up to me, and he goes, Link, it's your mom. Lie. So then I just take the phone. I'm like, hello?
You go into the same routine.
I'm like, hey, Peter. No, I wasn't on that again. I was like, and I don't remember exactly what happened. I think basically I was like, I tried to lie. It didn't work. The whole thing fizzled out.
We came clean later.
Which meant you got in trouble, and then a day or two later, then I got in trouble.
But I don't think we ever reconciled with Peter, because it was kind of like, dude, you broke into my house. I prank called you one night.
I don't remember
We're not even technically even yet.
We got in trouble, but I don't remember ever having a conversation with Peter about it after the fact.
We never talked about it.
Right. It was just like, that's in the past. We were punished. You found us out, man.
You can't do that these days. I mean, you can, but you're gonna be, you'll be traced.
Sentimental slow zoom. And one last, if you don't just whisper if you're gonna be on a prank call. Doing this is not a good voice disguise.
Let's get sentimental, Link.
You know what? We've done a number of these episodes. How many have we done? We've done 182.
This is the 182nd.
182nd episode of Good Mythical Morning.
And each one means more
than
to
the
me
last.
And Link than the previous.
We just want to thank you for making our hearts burst with joy, or come close to it. I mean, my heart hasn't actually burst. That would probably kill me. But losing my spleen would not.
Now let's make ourselves cry. Make yourself weep. You at home, or work, or in your car, wherever you watch this, don't watch it in your car. Weep with us. Let's weep together.
Boy, this is special.
Make yourself cry.
Getting a little close to our face now.
You might want to get in a little bit closer, because it's getting so close that we can barely fit now. But you don't have to put your head up next to mine. Okay, you did.
I'm not concerned with your particular reason, be it OCD or the upcoming cold and flu season. Listen here.